We wanted to be the best restaurant in the world. And I found myself clearing appetizers from a table of 4. So I overheard them talking. We never had a hot dog from a New York City street cart. This was their last meal. Ran outside of the hot dog cart, bought a hot dog, ran back into the kitchen, cut the hot dog up into 4 perfect pieces. I brought out what we in New York call a dirty water dog to the table. They freaked out. The little changes matter. The culmination of enough small enhancements on their own can become transformational. But still, I wasn't sure we'd figured out what it meant to be unreasonable. I think that word, it can really bring out exciting and innovative ideas in you if you allow it to. And then one day I was in the dining room on a busier than normal lunch service. In my world, we call that being in the weeds. We were overwhelmed, all hands on deck, and I was helping the team like I always do. I was clearing dirty plates. Gentle reminder, if you're at the top of the hierarchy and you make the choice to help out the people that work for you, try to, as often as possible, do so by doing the most menial task. It's a great way to remind the people on your team you will never ask them to do something you are unwilling or incapable of doing yourself. And I found myself clearing appetizers from a table of 4. They were foodies, Europeans, on vacation to New York City just to eat at restaurants. In fact, this was their last meal. They were going straight from our restaurant to the airport to head back home. And while I was there, clearing their plates, I overheard them talking, and they were raving about the trip they'd had. They'd been to Le Bernardin and Danielle and Jean-Georges and Per Se, and if you don't know those restaurants in New York City, just trust in how fancy and French the names are. They're the very, very good ones. And now 11 Madison Park, but then one woman jumped in and said, yeah, but you know we never had a hot dog from a New York City street cart. You know that moment in a cartoon where the light bulb goes off over the character's head? You know they've had a good idea. I went into the kitchen, dropped off the plates, ran outside of the hot dog cart, bought a hot dog, ran back into the kitchen. Then came the hard part, convincing my fancy chef to actually serve it in our fancy restaurant. But I asked him to trust me. More so, I told him it was important to me. That second line, it's important to me, that was a big part of our culture. Here's the thing, if you are lucky enough to work alongside a group of like-minded people who are as passionate as you are in wanting to be the best, gosh, don't take that for granted. It is a rare and special thing. Actually, it's a quick show of hands. Raise your hand if you've ever had a job where you have cared more than the people around you. Okay. Just to be clear, if you were not raising your hands just now, you are the people around them. It's a special thing. Don't take it for granted. And yet when you have it, you need to recognize that there will be tension. Because when passionate people are aligned on where they're going to disagree on how to get there. And when passionate people disagree, that's when tension arises. Yet we have one of 2 ways to navigate through those moments, and they're both wrong. Generally, we shy away from it because tension is uncomfortable, we want nothing to do with it, or we try to bulldoze through it to get the other person to agree with us. Both of those are lost opportunities. Because if you can navigate thoughtfully through a moment of tension with a colleague, not only do you give yourself the ability to grow closer to that person, but together you can unlock the best possible next step for the business as a whole. We wanted to be the best restaurant in the world, and we were very, very passionate. We came from very different walks of life. There was a lot of tension, and so we came up with some tricks to help us navigate through it. 1, if you and I were ever really disagreeing on something, I wanted A, you wanted B, we couldn't get through it. Either of us could say time out, switch, which meant he now had to start arguing for the thing I wanted and I had to start arguing for the thing he wanted. Funny thing about human beings, more often than not, we just want to be right. And the moment you're arguing for the thing you were just arguing against, now you want that thing to win and you seek to more understand the position more deeply so you can prove it to be true. It's a beautiful shortcut to empathy. But sometimes that wouldn't work, and either of us could say time out again, 3rd option. Which meant, hey, if neither of us has been able to convince the other of our idea, maybe it's because neither idea is good enough. And perhaps this is an opportunity for us to work together to identify a 3rd option that's better than each of the first 2. But sometimes that wouldn't work, and either of us could at any point say time out, this is important to me. Which was an invitation to the other that if it mattered more to you than it did to them, perhaps they should just let you have your way. Side note, if you choose to use this in work or, as I found, in marriage, you cannot overplay that card. But I played it then. And he agreed to cut the hot dog up into 4 perfect pieces, putting 1 on each plate, adding a little swish of mustard, a swish of ketchup, a little scoop of sauerkraut, 1 of relish. I think he topped it off with like a micro herb or something to make it look fancy. And then before the final savory course, which at the time was our signature, honey lavender glazed Muscovy duck that had been dry aged for 2 weeks, using a technique that had taken us quite literally years to perfect. I brought out what we in New York call a dirty water dog to the table. And I explained it. I said, hey, I couldn't help overhearing you. We didn't want to let you go home with any culinary regrets. Here is that New York City hot dog. And guys, they freaked out. I've been working at restaurants my entire life, some of the best in America and in Europe. I have served tens and tens of millions of dollars of Wagyu beef and lobster and caviar and foie gras, and I can confidently say that to that point in my career, I had never seen anyone react to anything I'd served them like they did to that hot dog.